Hey, what's up, guys? That Puma here, bringing you guys a gameplay commentary of Blacklight Retribution, playing deathmatch. Mostly using the, looks like assault rifle. Maybe I throw in a bit of M4X. I'm not really sure what I use here. It doesn't really matter. I think I go about 2KDR. I'm not sure if this is a 2KDR clip or like the really terrible one. I think it's about 2KDR. I just picked a 6-minute video clip because I wanted to discuss another tips and tricks episode, but this one's going to be a little longer. It's going to be going over knowing your gun and choosing the right receiver to go with your playstyle. I picked 6 overall receivers that are basically in every first-person shooter game, and I'm just going to go over what kind of playstyle you need to play with, or not that you need to, but you should be playing them with. They're intended to be played with, that they work best played with that playstyle. For example, the assault rifle is going to be our first one. The assault rifle is a mid-range, pretty much mid-damage, mid-everything, kind of mid-spread receiver. It's good for everything. It's your jack of all trades in most games. It can do close range, medium range, long range. It does an alright damage most of the time. It gets a 4-shot to 5-shot kill in this game. I'm not sure what it is in Call of Duties and stuff like that. So that's like going to be your all-arounder. That's what I recommend beginners start off with. Because, I mean, you can do anything with that gun. That's when you find what your playstyle is like. If you're going rushing or if you're going to be defensive and stuff like that. This gun can do it all. Your assault rifle is good for anything. It has basically no downsides. Next up is the shotguns. This is your extreme close range. These are basically meant to play a rushy offensive role. These have high damage, low fire rate, has low range, really low range. Basically, if they're not standing right in front of you, you're not going to get them. These guns are meant to just 1-shot or 2-shot kill somebody from close range. In Blacklight Retribution, they're used as a secondary, and that's basically when you're up, like right up in somebody's face, and you just pull it out and blam, they're dead. Next receiver is the SMG, the submachine gun. This is what I'm using right now. It has a fast fire rate, pretty close range weapon. It has a pretty fast fire rate, which is what differentiates it from every other receiver. It typically has the fastest fire rate. And these are meant for a pretty close range combat. These are meant for fighting up close and personal in your face. I don't want to say a rushy playstyle, but a more offensive kind of in your face playstyle. You can play smart with these, like how I'm doing here. Not peeking walls, like, hiding behind staircases, stuff like that, or not rushing behind corners, stuff like that. You can play defensive with these, but they're really meant for close range combat, up in closed off areas, not like wide open combat. Next up, I'm going to go over the combat rifle, which I know some Call of Duties call it the marksman rifle and stuff like that. This is going to be your 1-round firing, semi-auto weapons. Combat rifle in here is that, there's a ton in Ghost. I know Ghost had a lot. In Battlefield, they have some that do that semi-auto thing, and it's pretty cool. That's meant basically for mid-range and long range. You can use it to counter snipe. You can use it just as a normal receiver fighting off mid-range because it's super accurate. It has a low rate of fire, as I said, mid to long range, and it normally has a high damage. It should be like a 2 or 3-shot kill, sometimes 4, depends on whatever game you're playing, and those are pretty fun to play with. But you cannot go up in people's faces and try to win with this. You're going to get outclassed by the assault rifle, shotgun, everything. Next up is the light machine gun. This is basically your support class or your supporting role kind of thing. You can't really play offensive with these because there's so much recoil and they shoot so slow. You're going to be outclassed by almost everything up close range because these things shoot so slow. Typically, sometimes they'll shoot faster if the recoil is just super crazy. And it's typically mid-range. And these are just made to spray things down with. This should be used just as a supportive role to lay down suppressive fire and stuff like that. You can use them on the offensive too. A lot of people like to do that. And I mean, that works. Whatever works for you. But as I said, these are meant to be used as a supportive role. You're not supposed to be like up close to people's faces. You're supposed to be kind of laid back and just picking people off as you go. Our last receiver that we're going to talk about is a sniper rifle. Most of you are already familiar how to use a sniper rifle with. There's only 2 ways. There's hard scoping and quick scoping. Hard scoping is basically just standing at scope when you find a target and aiming them down, then trying to get a kill, just hitting your shot. These are meant to use long range of the slowest fire rate of all the receivers, longest range, highest damage. This is your 1-shot kill. If you're hard scoping, you're going to be picking people off from a pretty far distance most of the time. If you're quick scoping, in this game you can change your scope, so you would use probably a smaller scope, maybe not. It depends on your preference. Most of the time, if you're going to be quick scoping, a lot of people like to use that scope with less zoom just to make it easier to quick scope. And that's going to be just scoping it really fast and firing that shot off. I mean, that's when people use it up in close range to medium range. But sniper rifles are typically meant to be used in long range. Hard scoping is where their intended purpose is. You can quick scope with them, as I said, but that's not really like the role they're supposed to like be played as. It's not you're supposed to use them, but you can. As I said, everything here is up to you. But this is just like the guns that work best with those play styles. You know, if you're rushing, you're gonna be using your SMGs and your shotguns. You're playing mid range, you're basically using your combat rifles and your LMG. If you're playing up close, you're using your shotguns and your SMGs. And then you have the assault rifle, which is just your perfect all-rounder. It can hit any range, basically. And yeah, that's the end of this commentary. You guys can watch the rest of this video. I think it's almost over. There's like, what, 10 seconds left. See you guys next time.